Hey, what's up everybody? Welcome to another Northbasics video on this channel, and today we're gonna talk about gold. To be more exact, we're gonna answer the age-old question, what is the better gold production unit? Is it sailors or is it merchants? I hear this question very often, for good reason of course, and today I'm gonna try to answer this question as definitively as I can, and yeah, hope you're down for the ride. Let's jump straight into the battle of sailors versus merchants. At first, let's just talk about gold in general. What is gold even used for? At the start of the game, gold doesn't even seem that important. You only really need it to upgrade your buildings, but the one thing a lot of people don't think about is your building upkeep. So every building has a gold upkeep, which you can see when you click on the building. It will show you the yearly upkeep you will need to pay to keep this building up. When you upgrade a building, you will need to pay even more gold for the upkeep of this building. So the longer the game goes, the more buildings you will have, the higher your building upkeep will become, and your gold economy will need to be high enough to keep that upkeep going. If you do not pay your building upkeep, your buildings will just suddenly start burning. You will have no indicator or control over which building will start building first. So in general, it would always be a good idea to just pay the upkeep so this doesn't happen to you. Gold is of course also one of the most important resources when it comes to the endgame. Because if you're not playing the Lion Clan, you will very probably get your army with gold. And since army is still one of the most prevalent win conditions in Northgard, you should definitely watch out to have enough of this laying around and enough warband to actually get an army. So other than food and wood that we talked about in the last video, gold is actually one of the resources that you can't really have enough of. Because if you after a fight still have a bunch of gold laying around, hey, you can just get a new army. So this is why we want to have a really strong gold production on basically every clan. To work against that, you will need to build either merchants or sailors, which is basically the base of this video. So let's look at the gold production of sailors and merchants and see who's better at it. When you build the building, sailors will have a base gold production of +2, which actually makes it pretty similar, since merchants have also a base production of +2 gold per tick. If you upgrade your merchants or sailors, each of them will get a 20% upgrade on their production, so you will end up with a production of +2.4. If you upgrade the tools for them, you will get a 15% upgrade, which should be 2.3, but in game it's shown at 2.2. I don't really know what's up with that. Or you can of course go for shipbuilding or coinage, the lures to improve your gold production. Coinage will give you a bonus of 20%, so your merchants will also produce 2.4 with only that lure. Shipbuilding, however, will give you a 25% bonus. You will get +2.5 for each of the sailors. So only from that, it seems like sailors have a marginally better gold production than merchants. What we're forgetting right here is that the merchants actually have two buildings. They have the trading post and the marketplace. So if you upgrade these buildings, these will improve your gold production on the tile for all the merchants by 20%. So if you upgrade both of the buildings, you will get a 40% bonus on all your merchants. This will in the end mean, if we get all the upgrades we just talked about and get both buildings upgraded on the same tile, a single merchant will produce plus 3.5 gold for you. A sailor, however, will only produce a max of 3.2 gold for you. Of course, you can still upgrade their production with clan-specific lures or abilities, for example the 500 fame bonus of Stag, which will boost all your production by a certain amount of percent. But we are just looking at the base lures which are basically available for all of the clans. So looking at that, we can see that merchants have a better gold production than sailors, and we're not even talking about trade in this video because trade is a whole another video here. But obviously the merchants still have a higher gold potential because you could still trade away resources to your teammates or neutral and make even more gold out of it. So yeah, I guess that's it. Merchants are the better gold producers, and yeah, that's the end of the video. Everybody who goes for sailors is a noob, and merchants are the best gold producers in the game. What are you talking about, lore? We're not talking about lore in this video. This is a gold video. Yeah, maybe we forgot a little something here that we still need to take into account. So let's roll it back. Oftentimes, especially in games that are pretty aggro, so which are oftentimes fighting in 801, you will see most of the players going for sailors and not for merchants. Why would they even do that, since we just talked about merchants are the better gold producers? The reason for that is that sailors, in the contrary to merchants, are not only producing gold for you, they are also producing lore. So the base sailors will produce +2 gold, just as the merchants, but on top of that, also +0.8 lore for you. So in the start, when we just have the base building, the sailors are clearly better. They're producing the same amount of gold and they're producing lore on top of that. This lore production also gets affected by your shipbuilding lore, by your tool upgrade and your building upgrade. So even though merchants are very clearly the better gold producers in the late game, sailors are very clearly the better choice in the early game. There may still be clans around which really heavily rely on the trade of merchants and will therefore go for merchants in the early game. And you will also see a lot of late game clans going for sailors because they just really need the lore throughout the game to help them go through their lore tree. We can always say that when it comes to pure gold production, merchants will always be the better choice in late game. And if we just use the pure tunnel vision of the early game, we can say sailors are always better than merchants in the early game, because they will produce the lore on top of that and basically the same amount of gold. On top of that, the shipbuilding upgrade will give you plus 25% bonus, and the coinage upgrade will only give you 20% bonus. So it is a lot easier to upgrade your sailors in the early game. So especially these days, where a lot of clans have a lot of extremely strong lores which can make a difference in the game of you winning the game or losing the game, this little bit of extra lore production can make the difference between you having one extra lore when you come into the fight or even more. This is why the question, who is the better gold producer, sailors or merchants, is actually not as easy to answer and is really dependent on your current situation and the clan that you are playing. So if you are a clan that really doesn't care about his gold production units actually producing lore for it, like Owl, or if you're a clan where the extra gold production is actually not as valuable to you and the extra lores are actually so much more worthy. And this is the reason why when you ask an experienced Northgard player, what is the better gold production unit? Is it sailors? Is it merchants? You're gonna get the old favorite answer of every Northgard player. It depends. If you ask me for a general rule of thumb, I would generally say that if you're playing an aggro build which plans to go in 801 or in the start of 802, generally sailors should be your choice. After that, if really your only goal is to get a massive amount of gold to maybe go for a trade win, or what is much more likely, to get a big army, keeping in mind that the stronger production of merchants is not the only thing, but also the trade on top of that, where you can just trade unneeded resources to your teammates to even boost your economy a little bit more. Oftentimes you will even be forced to go into merchants because you only spawned with one shore, and one dock will oftentimes just not be enough for your whole game's gold economy. But in other situations, it really comes down to what you want to do with your build and sometimes even personal preference. So even if a lot of players, for example, go for merchants on horse, maybe just try the sailors once and see if it fits your playstyle a little bit better. Maybe it helps you to hit a lore a little bit earlier than you would have done with merchants, and that just fits better in your build. But you gotta keep in mind that your end game gold production will be a little bit lower than if you would have gone for merchants. So there's a lot of up and down sides, which I hope you understand a little bit better now with this video. And with this, I think we're gonna end this video over here. I hope you enjoyed this quick overview about sailors and merchants, what their up and downsides are, and in which situations you should go for which. If you enjoyed it, feel free to leave a like down below if you want to see more content like this. And yeah, I hope you have a great day and maybe see you in the next one. Bye bye.